Hey guys, we're going to be talking about David Foster Wallace's favorite books today. Uh, it's from a book called Top 10, and it's really, really shocking. If you've ever read, I'm sure, why would you watch this if you haven't read a David Foster Wallace book? The, he has a very love-hate relationship with his audience. You can tell as a reader, you have a love-hate relationship with him. Where the people who gravitate towards his books are kind of douchebags. Let's be real. And I say this in hindsight because I was like,
yeah, man, I'm gonna read Infinite Jest. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna talk about it.
so. His books are very surprising, and it's almost like he's like, hey, douchebags, try reading something. You don't have to read War and Peace, man, to have a good time reading. So, this is his favorite book, Stephen King's The Stand. I'm not sure if it's his favorite, actually. Definitely was, actually, it was up there. It was either one or two. So after reading that this was one of his favorite books of all time, I was like, all right, I'll give fucking Stephen King a whirl. I'd never read a Stephen King book in my life. I was like, that's popular. That's, it's popular. I don't want to read something popular, man. You ain't got time to read the popular current stuff. Sorry, sometimes I need to scratch my mustache. You ain't got time to read the popular current stuff. But I read this book. One, it's the best start to a book I've ever seen, ever. Or read, ever. Where I read the start, I was like, whoa, buckle up, babe. And the ending is awful. So I think that is a theme in Stephen King's work. Where you're like, it's building, but doesn't really build to the ending I was expecting, which you can see Infinite Jest, you can see David Foster Wallace stealing directly from Stephen King. And like, hey, sometimes you just gotta fucking let down your audience. Teach them a good lesson about endings. It's not the ending, man. It's the ride. It's the journey. It's the trip. And what a ride this book was. One, I was reading it during that period of time where you're like, oh my God, we are living in a Stephen King novel. That's how it felt. I was like, I was looking around. I was like, are we in a Stephen King novel? So that's the time period I was reading it in. What is he? He knows how to write a fucking sexy chick. Sorry, but you read this and you're like, oh my God, what's her name? Nadine? You're like, ooh, holy crow. Bride of Satan. Why she sound so appealing? Okay, we're too in on my own sordid little thoughts there, aren't we? That's what happened when I read the book. And I read this book such a long time ago that it's kind of a testament that I can still remember it, a lot of it, in terms of, I can't remember the characters' names, but I remember the guy, which is clearly Stephen King. He inserts himself into the book in this character, where he starts off fat, unlikable, and he gets even more. He gets skinny and a little evil, which is weird, and a little sociopathic. I do remember reading this book, like settling back, like, I can see where it's going, and then boom, no, your expectations as a reader are completely subverted. The first time that happened, really, in the book, I was like, oh my God, how's it gonna end if he's doing this? I thought I knew where it was going. Which was kind of cool. You see, this is a very, very awesome review of a book, isn't it? But really, this was my first introduction to Stephen King. I read a bunch of his books. Not a bunch, actually. I'll come clean. How many have I read? I started reading Stephen King books after this and enjoying them. I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's got everything you need. It's got the superpowers. It's got, you just go, this is just a good, fun time to read. I don't particularly like Stephen King, the tweeter, or his personality, or how political he is, but you're just like, bro,
Blah, you're a master of horror.
you're a master of, don't sully yourself with the commonplace, you know? What's the other thing? The other thing. Am I just gonna riff on Stephen King now at the moment? No, I'm gonna say David Foster Wallace's book, really shocking, and it was really helpful for me to be like, yeah, but why not read a book for fun instead of like a vanity, like a testament to my own intellect. Why not read for like just the darn silly fun of it? So, highly recommend. No, I don't highly recommend. I'll go. David Foster Wallace recommends this. I don't recommend it. Check it out if you like him. I had a very important point I was gonna make. I'd like to end with a very important point. Stephen King had a... No, I'm not going into the song. Should I do another take? No, I'm not doing another take. Oh, that jogged me out. Because I remember reading this introduction, and Stephen King, as my first introduction to Stephen King, he's like, yeah, at the time, they didn't even publish the whole darn story because of, I don't know, he gets into the economics of printing books. You're like, alright buddy, alright buddy, we get it, you're cool. But then you read the book and you're like, oh, this is just a fantastic world to dip in. It's like, how would old Marshall McLuhan compare it? It's like slipping into a nice little drive, like a long drive. A long drive and you're in the back. I don't know. It's a good book. Check it out if you want. All right, that's it. Boom, boom.